Now, an interesting thing occurred as I was going through the data. I was actually expecting to find cognitive and affective integration. And I had even represented it to my chair that I found cognitive and affective integration. And she said, no, you did not. You actually have found something else entirely. And I had not asked any questions about wisdom. So this was a complete surprise to me to find that there was wisdom that emerged in several of these participants, and that there were 5 basic qualities of wisdom that had emerged in the data. People had talked about more service, feeling of more service. People, after they had raised their own children, they began using child development principles with other people's children. There was a couple of therapists, there were several teachers in the study who were using child development principles with their clients. And they found that serving people in this way gave them a great feeling of well-being and access to feeling more present in the world. So people talked about greater presence. People talked about feelings of gratitude, how grateful they were to have learned this. They wished that, of course, their mothers had learned this, but they were so glad that they had found this finally. And people talked about feeling compassion. One father in particular told me he felt compassion for his father. He really understood now a lot that his father had good intentions and felt more compassion for the struggle that his father was in. And insight occurred for at least a handful, I'd say 5 of the participants. And this is an exemplary quote that I felt, even though it's a little bit long, I decided to put it up here because it is such a perfect description of this woman's access to wisdom. She said, "Wisdom is a kind of knowing. It's not the kind of knowing I get from my head or my intellect, although my intellect gets to contribute. It's not the kind of knowing I get from my heart and emotions, although my feelings get to contribute. And although there is a spiritual component, it's not a spiritual knowing. There's a wholeness to my wisdom that incorporates all of those kinds of knowing. My wisdom is generally very simple. There's a rightness to it, and not a right-wrong type of rightness, but just a deep isness. I can tell it's wisdom by how I feel. There's just not a struggle in wisdom. Now, there may be a struggle in getting there, but one of the ways that I know I'm in wisdom is by its simplicity, its wholeness, its rightness. I have a certain peace in wisdom. I might be sad or happy or angry, but underlying that is a peace in knowing." And she said, child development information is not something I use anymore, it is something I am. It's always part of who I'm being. And now I can live with uncertainty.